this morning's gospel lesson, we heard the story of the three women, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, as well as Salome, who were bringing spices so that they could go and anoint the body of Jesus. And while they were on their way to the tomb, they talked about one thing that worried them, and that was how to move the stone that blocked the entrance to the tomb. The women knew that it was beyond their strength to move such a large stone that sealed that entrance. Yet this seemingly enormous obstacle or problem for them did not deter them. They continued on towards the tomb. How many times in life are we faced with obstacles in our path? How often are we aware of difficulties that block our progress in our own spiritual lives? For some people, they get absorbed in just thinking about the obstacle that stands before them, and so never do anything about getting around, over, or moving the difficulty out of the way. How many times does a past sin keep us from approaching God in prayer or even approaching the Holy Chalice? In all these things, I believe we have to capture the spirit and mindset of the myrrh-bearing women. St. John of the Ladder says, "There are many courageous souls who with love and humility throw themselves into tasks that are beyond them, and there are others with proud hearts who do the same. But it's the proud ones who lose heart and quit when what they desire is within their power." So when the women reached the tomb, the stone was rolled away, and inside was a messenger who gave them the unbelievable news that Jesus had risen from the dead. The attitude of the women was that they had come to pay their final respect to a dead body. Now the initial attitude of the disciples was that everything had ended in tragedy. But we know the truth of the resurrection of the Lord, and the events of Pascha, or Passover, are a call to a greater and deeper faith. We aren't foolish, though. We know that having faith and belief in the risen Christ doesn't mean that life doesn't present us with difficulties. It is faith like that of the myrrh-bearers that grants us the endurance to overcome those obstacles and difficulties. St. Maximus the Confessor states that love comes through hope, and to hope is to believe unhesitantly, and that one will surely attain that for which they hope. But how do we acquire faith? St. Peter of Damascus tells us if we want to acquire faith, we must endure every trial imposed on us by our enemies and by our many and various thoughts. But we must also be courageous, because if we triumph over the trials and temptations that befall us and control our thoughts so that we don't give in to whatever pops into our mind and heart, we will be able to once and for all overcome all the passions, because it won't be us who are victorious, but Christ who is present in us through faith. So for us, Jesus isn't a character in a book, in a story, but rather a living presence. It is not enough to study the story of Jesus like some kind of historical figure, but rather we must encounter him. We must be like the Apostle Thomas, who, having encountered Christ, could confess, "My Lord and my God." And so the Orthodox Christian life isn't the life of a person who knows about Jesus, but the life of a person who knows Christ. There is all the difference in the world between knowing about a person and knowing a person. Many people know about the president or about the governor, but very few people know them. The greatest theologian in the world can know everything there is to know about Jesus, and that person is less than the humblest yaya who knows Christ. The most precious thing in this morning's gospel is in the two words which are in no other gospel. "Go," said the disciple, "tell his disciples and Peter." How that message must have brought joy to Peter's heart when he heard it. He must have been tortured by the memory of his disloyalty, and suddenly there came a special message for him. Jesus was far more eager to comfort the repentant sinner, Peter, than to punish him. Pascha has come and has gone, another year. Yet for these next 40 days, we will still sing and greet each other with the words, Christ is risen. Is he? Christ is risen. We do this to remind us of the resurrection. So if there is a stone still in your way, I would encourage you to work now to remove it so that you too can say in your hearts, Christ is risen. God bless and keep you.